Administrating OpenText ACDI. Access Manager Integration. 6th video in the Administrating OpenText ACDI series. In this video we will review the combo of the OpenText Access Manager and ACDI as well as go through the analytics dashboard. From the Access Manager, we have three components. One is the Admin Console. Another one is Identity Provider. And the third and last one is Access Gateways. Auditing changes will be immediately reflected in the IDP, which stands for the Identity Provider. And in Access Gateways, since Access Manager has mechanisms for automatic update. Let's take a look at the auditing settings that are used for the automatic updates. Before going to select the list of events, first we need to see the configurations. The things the user needs to do to get his tasks completed. For auditing, we are going to set the destination the syslog packets will be forwarded from the source. Here we are going to put in the respective ACDI server. And port, always 1468, which is for the analytics dashboard. In the format field, there is a drop-down list of formats to choose from. However, currently OpenText Access Manager supports only CSV format. Other than that, this is it with the Admin Console for the audit event selection. So, before going to see which events we are going to select in the Admin Console, we had to see and configure these settings, which will only be displayed in Identity Provider and Access Gateways, and not in the Admin Console by default. So, the settings here were updated manually. Later in the video, in the terminal part, it will be shown how to easily check that. In this settings section, we need to select Server Statistics. We will be sending the 606 events from this location only. If one selects Server Statistics, which includes the 606 events, that is sufficient to send the Admin Console audit events to ACDI or any remote server. Once we set everything up, we will move to Identity Server Settings. In this settings menu, one can just click on the IDP cluster. And in the list of submenus on the right, we select Audit and Logging. Let's ignore file logging settings for now. And proceed with Audit Logging, where one can find 8 audit event selections. Detailed documentation is available upon request, providing in-depth information about audit events. For sending audit events to the ACDI Analytics dashboard, the documentation clearly specifies which types of events need to be enabled. Even if there are a lot of audit events to see here, we only send 10 to 12 events. That 10 to 12 events come under the 8 selections. Login consumed, login failure, Federation token sent and Federation token received, token issued to web service, OAuth and OpenID token issued, and both risk-based authentication and risk-based pre-authentication invoked. These 8 selections are sufficient for sending audit events. The configuration set up in Logstash or within your parser will ensure that all relevant data is properly processed. Any other selections will simply be rejected by the ACDI Analytics dashboard, as there are no parser scripts available for them yet. So, once the settings, selections, are saved, we go back to Identity Servers and update IDP cluster. Now, let's move on to Access Gateways. By clicking Edit, we access the configuration settings where we select Auditing. In the Auditing settings, we choose only 2 options, Application Accessed and Session Created/Destroyed. These are the only events currently parsed by the scripts. Next, let's return to the cluster configuration page, click OK. And then Update. At this point, we have completed all the required configurations from the UI. There is nothing else to configure on the UI side. After applying the updates, the status will change to current. And the IDP cluster status will also be displayed as current. However, a key point regarding auditing is that these settings are not applied to the admin console automatically. This step must be completed manually, via terminal. Here we have the admin console, specifically the IDP terminal. This is the primary admin console. Customers may have multiple consoles. However, any configuration performed on the primary console should also be replicated on the secondary consoles. That said, applying configurations to a secondary console is only necessary if the customer intends to use it. For now, we are performing all configurations on the primary admin console. If the primary admin console is unavailable, the customer should apply the same changes on the secondary admin console. Now, let's navigate to the configuration location. There are two configurations to consider. The first is located at cd/opt/novell/syslog. Here we find the auditlogging.cfg file. The first change to make is to set the console to syslog. Next, change the format to CSV, as this is the only format supported by ACDI. No other settings need to be modified. Only update these two parameters. Once done, we save the changes. The second configuration is syslog. Here, we have the nom.conf file. By default, nom.conf stores all settings locally. The question is, how can this be changed? For this configuration, we can use the IDP server as a reference. Let's start with nom.conf. A sample configuration is already available, which you can copy, enter manually, or modify as needed, just like that. You may notice a @ symbol. This indicates a TCP configuration, similar to syslog settings. For UDP configurations, only a single @ should be used. At this stage, you need to configure the required parameters, including the port number. The entire format can simply be copied and pasted. The facility value should remain set to 0. In the UI, there are two options available. By clicking the plus icon next to server listening address, you will see Auditing Server 1 and Auditing Server 2 address. For Auditing Server 1, the facility should be set to local 0. For Auditing Server 2, it should be set to local 1. In our current setup, 0, local 0, is the correct choice. Now we will demonstrate the configuration process. Later, we will add a second server and show how to configure that as well. Once both configuration files, auditlogging.cfg and nom.conf, are set up, the following steps are required. Restart syslog. In an RHEL environment, this can be done using systemctl restart syslog. This specific command is only available in an RHEL environment. However, both commands are supported in RHEL and SLES environments. Restart rcnovell.ac. This process may take some time, around 5 minutes or more. Since this is a demonstration, we will skip the actual restart here. After all services are restarted and fully running, the system will begin sending updates to the ACDI Analytics dashboard. Summary. First, complete the configuration in the UI. Then, update the two configuration files in the admin console. auditlogging.cfg and nom.conf. Finally, restart the required services, syslog and rcnovel.ac. Once these steps are completed, the system is ready to send data. Thank you for your attention. Have a good one.